Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I think that we can all agree that Steve Kerr is somebody who is exceptional at his job, even though Steve Kerr, before getting that job, had no experience whatsoever to tell us that. Like, I'm not even saying that he had experience that would disprove that. He had no experience. He was hired as a head coach who didn't have experience, could have chosen between the Knicks and the Warriors. Derek Fisher took the Knicks, never worked again. Head coaching, Steve Kerr ends up being multi-time champion. When Trysta and Juju mentioned Jonathan Kuminga, okay, and I see what's happening there, this is always confusing to me, Zaz, because I've heard so many athletes over the years say, politics, that's the only reason that I didn't get my opportunity. I was a star, I could have been a star, I just didn't get a chance. You have so few jobs in that sport, and when that champion is established, it's going to be really hard for a young person to break in there. What do you make of the fact? Is Steve Kerr wrong? Is Steve Kerr wrong about Jonathan Kuminga? Or is it just that I could give any number of people in that sport the ball, showcase them, and all the offenses are going to get to 110 points. So if I'm giving the ball to the one guy and saying, well, you're a majestic talent, then he's going to be great, but the team's going to be, not a champion. Not as good as Steve Kerr's team has been.
So I feel like that's something we could say about someone like Cam Johnson, what he's done. Cam Thomas? I get them confused with the Nets. It was just traded.
Waived by the Nets, but clearly a good offensive player. Waived by the Nets in a way that made a mean shock that he was waived by the Nets because everyone knows he's a great offensive player.
Yeah, Cam Thomas. I feel like that's something we could say about a guy like Cam Thomas. Somebody's going to be a looter and a riot on a bad team, and, maybe that's Cam Thomas. We'll find out. Jonathan Kuminga was the 7th overall pick in the draft. Like, Jonathan Kuminga is when you're selected 7th overall, you're expected to be a guy who's going to be a really good player. And I hear this narrative coming out of Golden State, people who are around the team, where it's like, Kuminga, he was never going to work, in this Golden State offense. He was never going to work on Steph's team, I'm sorry. Maybe he's not going to be the guy that's scoring 22 points a game so far in his 3-4 games with the Hawks, but he's riding 17 consecutive did-not-play coaches' decisions. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I think that's a fair indictment. And you talk about Spo, I think that there are things that you can look at within Steve Kerr and say that is a cautionary tale as well. If you talk to Warriors fans, they're not saying that Steve Kerr is the best coach or that he doesn't have warts, right? And you look at him as a developer. He's really, really good with high-end, top talent that are veterans, that he came in like Steph Curry. But what did he do with Moses Moody? What did he do with James Wiseman? What has he done with Jonathan Kuminga? Pods is the only one that's kind of like had some good moments, and even he, I think, is a player that you could say maybe should be developed more. I think, honestly, that's probably the biggest problem that the Warriors have had is developing talent, and I think that falls squarely on Steve Kerr.
Right on Steve Kerr. And as I mentioned last week, put me in the head coaching position with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant. I'm going to get you that chip, man.
This is the accountability that should be around the Miami Heat franchise. You say the Warriors, and look, I know with Pop there was some health, but R.C. Buford also constructed it. You had Bob Myers, you had R.C. Buford, guys that had overwhelming success at those franchises. Even they met their ends and realized that it was time to go. With Miami, they haven't had that level of success or consistency, and yet the key players remain.
Juju says what he says about winning a championship, but Mark Jackson, with all of that, didn't get out of the second round, and those players did grow into that, and the indictment that you're making of Steve Kerr is one we made for years of Pat Riley, who was throwing the bad back of Dan Marley out there because he only trusted veterans. And, of course, what Steve Kerr has learned when he's never had a job like that before is when I trust my old guys. My old guys come through for me, and those are the guys I'm going to trust. But I want to cover something that's happening with Steve Kerr that is wildly confusing to me and has been for years. I don't know what's going on with Porzingis. I don't feel like many people know, even though the internet is rife with rumors on this subject. But that was legitimately, you guys every year are telling me that there's going to be something at the trade deadline that happens, and it's always George Hill as the final piece, not winning the championship for anybody. But Porzingis was a final piece for a champion. And since then, wildly confusing general illness. Steve Kerr said something on the radio the other day that he talked to Atlanta's GM and that it was POTS, and then he ran back away from that saying, look, I'm wildly unqualified to talk about any of this.
What is POTS?
It's an acronym, and I don't know what the acronym is for it, but thank you for asking me a question that I have no idea how to answer. Yeah. Steve Kerr doesn't know what it is, and he's got it in his locker room. And
I appreciate
Zaz does that to me. In fact, you know what? I'm going to kick him out.
No.
Yes.
He asked a question that we should be asking.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know what it is either.
He could ask it privately instead of just doing that.
Why? Why?
In the moment, I wish the moment.
Let's acknowledge we don't know what it is either and look it up. Let's be human. Let's not try to be perfect.
We're going to do that while he sits in the other room for 2 minutes.
Dictator.
He's just asking the question. God bless him for doing so.
No, God curse him for doing so. Be out there for 2 minutes by yourself, ruminating on not helping me do the show by asking me a question that I don't have the answer to.
Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I think that's heart related.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also not that, according to Steve Kerr. He said it wasn't that, and then everyone's running away and just calling it general illness. And I don't know that we've seen this kind of confusion around somebody. Where was he drafted? Because he was also, when he talks about Kuminga being a number 7 pick, Porzingis was drafted high enough that he was expected to be a game-changing type of player for a good amount of time. And the illness is just super confusing, that they're just filing it under general illness and no one can talk about it comfortably or informed.
But even Porzingis said that he had POTS. There's an Athletic article about it, and he acknowledged it. So I'm not really sure. I think Steve Kerr's trying to avoid a HIPAA violation.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it is that. And Steve Kerr said too much and realized it's probably not his business to be saying that, and that's why he walked it back. It was more procedural than whether or not it had anything to do with the truth.
Okay, but as it relates to HIPAA violations, just so that we're clear on what the Kerr quotes were, what Kerr said wasn't, it is that. Porzingis said it was that, and then Kerr said it's not that. And now they're filing it under general illness as the coach realizes, yes, you're right. You can't be talking about somebody's health, but you certainly can't be saying that what this person has diagnosed it as is wrong, that he's giving us bad information. What Kerr has thrown into the information stream for me is that Kerr knows something that I don't know, but didn't know not to say it. Because why would Kerr say it's not that unless he didn't think it was that? There's no reason to say that unless you feel like it's not that. And now it just leads to more questions. When, again, they're filing, this has been now 3 years of Porzingis can't play any meaningful games or meaningful minutes while they talk about general illness, which is not something I've ever heard of, sidelining a player for 3 years. Like, that's not, you give me all the precedent you guys have for an important top 5 pick being someone who just can't play during something that's close to his prime. Like, is he even 30? He's 30 by now, right? Like,
Yeah. I think he's probably past it, but again, I haven't seen him on the floor with consistency. And also, we can't eliminate the fact that he was traded from Boston and was with a franchise that wasn't actively trying to win. So I think this is part of acquiring Porzingis and not really knowing what the deal or the sensitivities there are, and Kerr just probably said too much and tried to walk all of it back. But I think the last time we were here with a name that we recognize in that league and a guy that can contribute is Kawhi, where we didn't really know what was going on, where there was a mystery around his health. There have been health issues in the league before that prevented guys from playing. Chris Bosh, even dating way back to Magic Johnson. This one is a little bit of a mystery. And if you go down the internet, there's all sorts of irresponsible wormholes that you can go down when it comes with this one. But I think this one reminds me most of the Kawhi thing in that I don't know what's wrong.
The Kawhi one was slightly different, though, because I had a pretty good idea it was his knee. Like, it wasn't a general illness. I knew that it was his body and that he was having some issues with doctors.
We get to the bottom of that Potts mystery yet?
Yeah, we did. Thank you. We answered that while you were you're in the purgatory over there. Let's get to Draymond Green here, though, speaking of the Warriors, because Draymond Green, as it relates to what's happening right now to Luka with the Lakers and some of the stuff I'm talking about with there's one basketball and 5 guys are allowed to play at the same time. And when Luka and LeBron play together, somebody's numbers are going to suffer. Somebody's not going to be quite the same player as Luka is in Dallas, even if he's fat, if he's getting the entirety of the usage rate. So now Draymond is coming out here and saying, because the Lakers are truly terrible at defense, and you almost can't be good at defense if Luka can be picked on, because Luka is not a good defensive player. Here's Draymond Green saying something I don't hear anyone saying, which is, was Nico Harrison right?
But now when I turn on the TV, all I see is everybody in the media who crushed Nico Harrison, who essentially aided in him getting fired, regurgitating the same things that Nico Harrison was saying. And I struggle with that because I haven't seen one person come out and say, hey, Nico, I'm sorry for the things I said about you when you made that move. Because I just said the same thing out of my mouth. I struggle with that a bit. Again, this has nothing to do with Luka Doncic and everything to do with the media and Nico Harrison. Nico gave his reasonings as the general manager of a team of why he thought that was the right move. And everybody said, you're an idiot. You should be fired. Worst general manager in NBA history. And now all of you people are saying the same thing. But no one has said, maybe Nico was right.
What does that mean when he says that he's struggling with that? Like, will Draymond just be chilling? So like, what's up, Draymond? Yo, I'm struggling with that.
Trysta,
Nico
why
Harrison.
are you laughing? Is it because he says that with a bunch of marbles in his mouth? Like you're laughing because you can't understand half of what he's saying? Because you.
It's like, I think that's like, is that your AAVE? That's your Ebonic slur?
Why do you say it like that?
Why do you say it like that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think he says it like that when he's most arrogant.
Oh, look,
Let's not do that ever again.
This is so borderline.
When he's feeling really good about himself.
Me?
I think you put extra marbles.
Please don't.
Extra marbles in. Again, I need that to be my voice, not
Sometimes
your voice.
No, you don't.
That you sound
Here to
like
help today.
you sound like a gemstone, bruh.
Last week was great when you weren't talking back to me.
What are you reaching for? If you're a smoker or dipper, you could be reaching for so much more with Zyn nicotine pouches. When you reach for Zyn, you're reaching for 10 satisfying varieties and 2 strengths for a smoke-free and spit-free experience that lets you lean in, for chances to break free from your routine, and a unique nationwide community. Whatever you're reaching for, reach for it with America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Find your Zyn wherever nicotine products are sold near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
It is time to talk to you kind folks about one of our best partners, one of our longest tenured partners, Miller Lite. You know, we've been with Miller Lite for about half of their illustrious existence, and I couldn't be more grateful.
We often ask you to support those who support us.
So the other day, I was fully in stay-at-home mode, had the left turns on, relaxing on the couch, long day, sweatpants, remote in hand, already planning which sporting event I was gonna flip to next. Then a friend texted me, nothing big, hey, why don't we just have a small hang? And I said, come on over, pal. I got the Miller Lights on deck. I put out a bucket filled with ice cold, beautiful white cans of Miller Lite, and we had ourselves a Sunday. Next thing you know, the race is tight. Everybody's yelling at the TV. We're toasting our beers, and we look at each other, we take a sip, and we know that we made the right call. Cheers to legendary moments with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Jackson Hewitt handles your taxes and your stress. Inhale our no surprise price of $149 or less. Exhale, paying more for complicated taxes. You won't. Inhale new tax law knowledge. Exhale, missing out on your biggest refund? Certainly not. Don't miss paying $149 or less. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Dan Le Batard.
What is the worst part of the life?
Stugotz.
The worst part of the life of what?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I just don't understand. He's struggling. Why is he struggling?
He's struggling with the fact that the media is criticizing.
You changed the way it sounded there a little bit. You should seize on that one.
But he's struggling. Like, how's he struggling? I don't understand.
There we go. That's what we wanted. Struggling.
Yeah, look, now Zaz is speaking the Kings.
There was no difference in the way I said it there and the
There
way I
is
said it
there
earlier.
is a difference. You swallowed the L. The L disappears. It becomes Strogan.
He knows what he did.
I don't know what I did.
It's when he gets most confident that he rolls it around. You know what it is to me? What I hear in his mouth is the equivalent of somebody waving around a good scotch with a snifter. But it's in his mouth. The whole thing is in his mouth, and he's just got extra confidence. He's going to come after Draymond here. But what about the meat of what it is that he's saying?
My bad.
What about the meat?
There is nobody saying that Nico Harrison was not wrong, but Luka is now coming under criticism with the Lakers because they're clearly not good enough. And Luka's team in Dallas is better than this Lakers team.
Okay, Draymond knows the centerpiece of that Luka trade. Anthony Davis was traded a few weeks ago, right? Does you know that part? Do you know that part of the Luka trade? Him wondering why no one is saying Nico was right. Does he know that the centerpiece, the only guy that he wanted for Luka, the only team he negotiated with, the Lakers, does he know that guy, Anthony Davis, was sent to Siberia a few weeks ago, also known as the Wizards, and has not been heard or seen from since? Does he know?
I'm proud of you. You basically sound like you're on Bridgerton now compared to where you were
I'm loving
just
this.
minutes earlier.
Spitting facts, though. He's right.
Also, what is not being mentioned is that Nico Harrison and Draymond Green are essentially boys because Nico Harrison was running Nike basketball for forever and a day, and Draymond is basically holding water for Nico Harrison. I will not let that stand.
Well put. Mike mentioned Bridgerton. Are you guys aware? I don't know how. I think people are aware of this, but that basically Hollywood has already collapsed on itself so much that Netflix billboards are all over the city in a way that dwarfs all other competition, including billboard ads for things like Bridgerton, because Netflix has taken over the entirety of the town.
We're back, baby. Goes to California once.
I mean, but it's not. It's obvious. It's obvious to anyone who's working out there. It's not because I'm going to California once. It's clear that there are only 5 entities that are running the entire city, and most of it is Netflix.
City, the world.
Yep. Is Jerry Bruckheimer mad about it?
Didn't ask him about that. But
what? You finally had a guy that could answer your curiosities about Hollywood collapsing on itself.
It's super interesting to me to watch it happen, though. You've got so many actors there who are going to be out of work, replaced by robots soon, and they know it. They all know that all the jobs are going to disappear because these tech institutions are going to figure out how to replace them rather easily. We have an interview here that we can show you of a reporter, a real live reporter, He ends up talking to, what is the name of that robot, Chris Cody? The robot that,
I'm terrified of this video.
You. Okay, so you're terrified by this video. I had a friend of mine show me something the other day. He did he's in his 50s. He didn't know how to do AI. He wrote a sketch and he turned it with AI into something that was a comedy skit with human beings that looked to me like they were human beings, but they're not human beings. It's all artificial. And as soon as Hollywood figures out how to get you to care about one of these artificial things the way you do about Matt Damon or whoever it is that makes you go to the movies, they're going to figure out how to replace all human beings with these things. Sprout, the robot scared you, Chris Cody?
It's terrifying.
Because it felt like it had a human personality to you?
It's the most realistic interview I've heard with a robot, and you're going to hear it's Tom Lamas from NBC News. He's talking to Sprout, and he asks him a couple questions, and then he redirects it towards Sprout's handler, like a guy with Sprout, and Sprout is just like, no, I'll jump in here. Like Sprout is just like, no, you don't have to talk to my handler. I'll answer this question
for those of you listening on audio, this robot is super tiny, meant to look non-threatening, okay? Meant to look like it can't take over the world because it's the size of a toddler. It's very small, and it doesn't look anything like a human being. It looks like a very small robot. Let's hear from Sprout here.
Sprout, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, Tom. It's an honor to be here on Top Story. I'm super excited to show what I can do and have a little fun during the interview. Thanks for having me.
Is this your first time at 30 Rock, or have you been here before?
This is my first time here at 30 Rock, and I have to say, it's pretty amazing to see it in person. The energy here is awesome.
Sprout, ¿hablas español?
Sí, hablo español. ¿En qué te puedo ayudar?
Sprout, do you have any dreams or imaginations?
I don't have dreams like humans do, but I do imagine a future where I keep learning and growing alongside people. My goal is to always be a helpful, friendly companion, making life a bit easier and more enjoyable for everyone around me. So if that counts as a dream, I guess I'm living it.
So, Rob, I mean, that almost sounds too perfect. Is that programmed inside of Sprout, or is that just the AI working inside and coming up with those thoughts?
This is all that...
Well, Sprout, you can speak for yourself.
I can definitely think for myself within the boundaries of my programming and what I've learned from interactions. It's like having a flexible toolkit to respond to different situations. So each conversation helps shape how I respond next time. It's all about adapting and growing with every interaction.
Yeah, we're done.
This is exactly how the movie starts every time, no matter what. Look at them, they're so nice.
Remember how Whitty said that if you did Kevin Durant's career over and over and over again, this was like the worst version of it? That's just the Earth now. We did it the worst way possible. This is the end result? Like with what? Within 5 years, we're all out of jobs, we're all done, and it's like not just 5 businesses, 5 people running all of it?
I don't know.
You think Sprout would get me accurate information on the Miami Heat?
Yeah, Jeremy. That's a rough look.
Sprout definitely wouldn't. AI doesn't get anything right.
I don't feel threatened.
What was that? What are you doing again?
I don't feel threatened.
He's at maximum confidence. They can't make a robot that speaks like it's got a snifter in its mouth and with a bunch of marbles.
Robot's going to say things that I say?
Not the way that you would say.
Robot's going to think the way I think? Robot can't do this. I don't care.
I think you're overthinking your own voice at this point.
He's so in his head.
We shouldn't have seized on it.
This is bad.
This is bad. This is real bad.
This is bad.
He's going to turn into Bullworth.
We've undercut. We've undercut who he is at his core, and he's going to slowly morph into somebody who's hosting the show as a character in Bridgerton. That's not good. I want to play for the group some sound here from Paul George. Pablo's going to be at the Sloan Conference. That is a match made in heaven right there. Pablo's going to Sloan this week to do a live show after doing a live show with Roy Wood Jr. last weekend.
This Paul George clip has been pointed out that it was actually a couple years ago, but it's very relevant to the Kawhi situation.
Thank you for the clarification on the date on that. I feel like if a robot had been in that spot, I would have known that in the morning meeting. So the Paul George sound is about Kawhi Leonard, and it's old enough that Brian Shaw was coaching the Clippers at the time. I don't believe he's there anymore. And the rules were different for Kawhi since the very beginning. Is this surprising to you at all? When I play this sound for you, Zaslow, is it surprising to hear a star of Paul George's stature say there was one set of rules for me, but it's a different set of rules for Kawhi Leonard?
When you airball in practice, right, you got to stop play. So we could be practicing, scrimmaging, you airball a shot, you got to drop the ball,
run down and
Everybody
back.
say we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll say we'll wait. So I do it. Everybody abides by the law.
Nobody's above the law.
Nobody's above the law. That's B. Shaw saying, you're not above the law. Go do it, right? So I've done it. Like, everybody's done it. Kawhi air balls, right?
Everybody's looking around.
And everybody's looking around like, who's going to tell them we'll wait? So now, like, I'm looking at B. Shaw. B. Shaw don't say nothing. So then finally, B. Shaw's like,
nah, everybody's on B. Shaw's ass.
Yeah,
low key, like, yo, B.
we
Shaw.
on B. Shaw ass. Like, B, you ain't gonna say nothing? So finally, like, why? Like, I'm not running.
Why you sound just like straight like that?
Straight up.
Straight like that.
I'm not running. And B. Shaw, like, nobody's above the law. Like, he like, it's basketball. I'm an airball again. Like, you're not about to coach me or teach me that, like, airballing is, like, not good. It's part of the game.
That's so
I'm not running.
Yo, and then like 20 minutes later, somebody else airball. And Wise like, see? Like, he's like, you got it in everybody's head now. Not everybody airball.
Had me nervous to shoot. Like,
so he went above the law. Yeah.
That's a good Kawhi Leonard impersonation. We all heard Kawhi Leonard's act of insubordination in a couple of words in a sentence with "I'm not running." And what do you do if you're the coach in that spot? Like what recourse do you have if you're Brian Shaw?
I think Kawhi Leonard is 100% right in that response, and he's also a dick. Because, like, if this is the way the team this is what the team does, be part of the team. Like, Kawhi's rationale is 1,000% right. But, like, are you part of the team or are you not part of the team?
I'm not running.
It's a good impersonation. It sounds a lot. It really sounds a lot more like Kawhi than it does like Paul George.
I'm not running.
And you're saying he's 1,000% right, but he's not 1,000% right. He's simply wrong. It's a team rule.
I'm not running.
No, but he's right about his explanation where it's if I shoot an air ball, part of the game. What? There's nothing like inherently wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. He's right about that.
I'm not running.
Says he's not right by just telling his coach, I'm not doing what is a team rule for everyone else.
I'm not running.
That's why he's a dick.
I'm not running.
So he's right, but he's a dick?
You could be right and a dick.
America leads the world in medicine development. It matters. We get new medicines first, nearly 3 years faster. 5 million Americans go to work because we make medicines here at home. And not relying on other countries keeps us safe. But China is racing to overtake us. Will we let them, or will we choose to stay ahead? When America leads, America cures. Let's tell Washington to keep us in the lead.
Learn how at americacures.com. Paid for by pharma.
Your little one grew 3 inches overnight. Adorable. Also, expensive. Sell their pint-sized pieces on Depop and list them in minutes with no selling fees. Because somewhere, a dad refuses to pay full price for the clothes his kids will outgrow tomorrow. And he's ready to buy your son's entire wardrobe right now. Consider your future growth spurt budget secured. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
Don Le Batard.
I ain't never met nobody in the world that's gonna hate on Blue's
Great
Clues,
nomination.
Bruh. Like, who don't like Blue's Clues, bro? If you don't like Blue's Clues, you're a loser.
Stugotz.
Look, you get one paw print. That's the first clue. You put it in a notebook. Now what do you do? Woo! Blue's Clues, Blue's Clues.
Sit on the chair and think about it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Did y'all hear Kawhi when they asked him about the team's chances this year in the playoffs? He was like, "Oh nah, we through this year." It's like so many games left.
He didn't even pretend. He didn't even try and give them something that just faked its way.
He said
through.
that window is closed.
there have not been a lot of superstars in the history of the league like him. I think Stephen A. Smith is way too hard on him when he says he's the worst superstar in league history because he did win a championship in Toronto and knocked out the Warriors of Golden State. And like there's never been anybody with his resume of championships that's viewed the way that he's viewed. Like that I could have made the argument based on that famous clip of LeBron James in his prime looking over his shoulder when Kawhi's checking back into the game and LeBron's like, bleep, we missed our opportunity to do something while he wasn't in the game. His legacy is going to be so confusing to people on what to do with what it is that he chose to do with the last part of his career, because you don't normally have that kind of centerpiece at the center of championships that's regarded by a whole lot of people as, at best, a mystery. Right, that's the most positive way that I can frame it. Right, we've talked before about Russell Wilson playing his way out of the Hall of Fame. What has Kawhi Leonard, with the mercenary nature of what he's done to ultimately destroy the future of the Clippers? How's that all going to be remembered? Is it going to be remembered as a great champion? Because there aren't a whole lot of guys that win that many championships and do it in multiple places. And the second time, or the third time, excuse me, or is it the fourth time? Is it the third time or the fourth time? Does it largely by himself in Toronto. Pascal Siakam is your second best player. It's hard to win a championship.
He's going to be remembered as the guy who was Finals MVP twice, because it's not as if, like with Russell Wilson playing his way potentially out of the Hall of Fame, that has not been Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard plays, he's still really, really great. It's not like we're watching a shell of himself out there. He just isn't out there enough. But when he is, he's always the best player on the floor.
He's probably the best player in the league this year. Yes. He is having the best statistical year of his entire career. But our guy Pablo just comes out and throws dirt on his name where he's not even getting voted as an all-star, which is just poppycock.
And I also think that how the world works now, unfortunately, he gonna be the brother we remember for not planting them trees, man, because the scandal stick. I don't know too much positive about Ronald Reagan. I know what he did wrong, though.
Was it Iran-Contra?
The news that came out last week about Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, saying, I've got a way to make the All-Star game even better than it already was this year when the players did us the courtesy of caring. I'll get them to care even more by making it $1 million for the three-point competition if you win it, and $1 million if you're in the dunk competition. I thought as soon as I heard it, wow, that's really smart. Wow, that's dystopian. That you have to all of a sudden get millionaires in order, because I think you'd get them to participate in those contests if you put the bonus out there like that. But I also think that it's really offensive that you have to do that in order to get them to do that on top of their salaries.
Yeah, your third thought should have been like, this is salary cap circumvention.
That's what Amin told us.
Which is like, Amin kind of dismiss it out of hand, which like Ishbia has other companies that can maybe step up and sponsor, but as we know with aspiration, that could be problematic too. So the idea may work out, but Ishbia certainly can't be behind it, at least as he laid it out.
All of this stuff has to be collectively bargained, but when Adam Silver, can dismiss it, as he's dismissed all of the Kevin Durant burner talk because he has more information than most of the people gossiping about it. You can dismiss it, but once Adam Silver puts all things on the table, I don't think you can dismiss it, because they've got to fix that portion of the weekend as well. If they've already made the changes to fix the game itself, they also have to fix the other part. And if they don't do it that way, the idea by itself is something that can work.
Right. You mentioned it has to be collectively bargained. I don't know if it has to be, because Adam Silver just changed it. Like we had something different from one year to another year, and I don't know if there was a round of negotiations or if this was all handled in a back room.
Money. When there's money involved, it's not about effort. He changed the game. He didn't change the way people can make money. Once you throw money into the mix, it's got to be collectively bargained how it is that all gets split up. But it's not surprising to me at all that Ishbia, like, this is a funny thing, right? When you think of how things in sports are changing and Draymond Green's real problem there with what it is that he was saying is with the media. Pat McAfee also has a problem with the media. And I don't know if you saw that Pat McAfee, his new agent, I think, is the guy who was being portrayed by Jeremy Piven in Entourage, who runs Hollywood.
Ari Emanuel, right?
Ari Emanuel, correct. Ari Emanuel is Pat McAfee. If he's not his agent, he's out here saying, I want to make Pat McAfee the next Sylvester Stallone. That's what I want to do with McAfee. To see Ishbia, a new kind of owner, who comes from allegedly a whole lot of predatory lending in what it is that he does to get to the top of the food chain, the same way that Dan Gilbert does. To see McAfee, who's doing multi-$100,000 field goal competitions, just sit there with a billionaire and say, how do we fix this? Can we do it with millions of dollars? And have it get the attention of players? Because how many players do you think are listening to that and are saying, yeah, I wouldn't have done the dunk competition. I wouldn't do the three-point competition. But if you give me $1 million clean for winning the thing, all of a sudden now you turn an exhibition weekend into something that's a gambling weekend for the players. You're allowing the players to do something that feels like gambling and filing it under competition. It's a good idea.
I don't know if it feels like gambling. Think about Unrivaled. They did the one-on-one competition, and it was $250,000, right, Juju, to the winner? And that is the same amount as a max contract. So let's do the one-on-one for the NBA, and let's make it the size of a max contract.
I like the idea of there being a huge grand prize like that for the slam dunk, and like a fight breaks out because Julius Erving holds up like a 9 instead of a 10 on the final dunk.
We hadn't considered that. Yes, Wembanyama grabbing Julius Erving by the back of the head and just dragging an old man around the court because he's lost $1 million on something subjective.
I mean, what would have happened that year a few years ago where Dwayne Wade rigged it for Derrick Jones Jr. to beat, who was it, Aaron Gordon?
Aaron Gordon.
In the slam dunk. Imagine us for $1 million.
Jeremy, I may need one of your drawstring investigations to find out how this story had anything to do with Pat McAfee. Yeah. Can we reverse engineer the Pat McAfee to Matt Ishbia link?
Ishbia was on McAfee's show when he gave the idea.
There it is. All right, because like the Sylvester Stallone Pat McAfee bit didn't feel like it was important contextually to reshaping the All-Star game.
Also, since we mentioned Pat McAfee, I would like to just give my boy a round of applause right quick. Pat McAfee.
Why?
What are we applauding?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
It was established last week.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel left out. That's good on my own show. So Ishbia is an owner who thinks a little bit differently than most owners. And what I'm saying about McAfee and the link is seeing those two people turn the All-Star game into a game show where they have to offer the superstar millions of dollars beyond their salary is a good idea that is playful and also something that I believe Silver will take under advisement to figure out how to do something like that so that you make competitive people compete over an amount of money that matters.
I mean, well, if you're running it by Pat McAfee, giving money away to anybody seems to be a very effective thing for the brand. It usually works with him. Yeah. The ratings bear this out. People love watching other people compete for big sums of money. That's worked for Pat.
You know about that giving away money, Dan?
Yeah, I do know about that giving away money, Zaz. It's what we're doing around here every day. For you to ask me questions about pots and Mike to tell me how our show was good last week with inside jokes that are not revealed to me today.
Probably listen to the show.
Yeah, I could do that.
That's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Got his ass.
I didn't like that whatsoever. Send him away.
You know what? I'm going to send myself away so I can just cool down a little bit.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Tremenda, Cagason.
I don't see how Cagason matters there. Like, Cagason is usually like a cat, isn't it? I don't understand how that's a tremendo Cagason. I really don't. But, Zaz, I do appreciate you toning down the vernacular a little bit.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you mean.
I talk the way I talk, man. I am who I am.
I'm going to take it to Iran.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good place to go.
I'm going to take it to Iran because it's
Good.
we're at war, and Dan tried to talk politics with Inter Miami going to the White House, and he asked what our reaction was to that.
I didn't even know that they are going.
No, they're going. I saw that. Unless things have changed recently with the war, I saw that Beckham and Messi will all be there at the White House as invited guests to celebrate the MLS Cup.
Right.
I saw that, and this is a part of sports historically, which, we mentioned that. Usually you're not being invited to the State of the Union, but the State of the Union often uses people as props. Sometimes they're regular civilians. Sometimes they're people that have been injured at war. Sometimes they're heroes. Oftentimes they're heroes, and that's what Team USA was to a lot of people, and I get that. But I do have an issue with it because it's one of my teams. The Florida Panthers did it. I wasn't crazy about it. The news came out, I think, after we did our show on Friday, that Trump once again is going to turn to sports and try to fix college football. Hopefully he does a better job of it. He's having Tim Tebow as a part of this, Nick Saban,
I don't think I even saw that.
Yeah, it was positioned once again as fixing college football, although there are people from sports, all over sports, that are, I think Randy Levine is a part of it from the Yankees.
You got to start with that kickoff rule.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to go. And it's funny, this president keeps going back to sports because he's getting what he needs out of it, which is to normalize, because sports are super normal. We have heroes like Tim Tebow is a very famous dude. Nick Saban these are very well-respected dudes. And when you're sitting across from this president, having any conversation, which isn't, what the hell are we doing here? This is nuts, normalizes him. And he is going to gravitate to that. And I'm not surprised when you consider Inter Miami's ownership and their causes and their donations, why they're all for this. Messi being used for it. Messi, he's Argentinian. He operates in a different moral scale. Like Ronaldo was there. Those two always seem to be tied at the hip at these conversations. Beckham being there, that one's probably a little dicey for his brand. He stands to lose the most of this, given that he's famously English. I don't like it, especially now where we're at war in which 80% of Americans didn't want to be in. And I do think sports should probably cool down on this, but they're not. The distinction that needs to be made is you're normalizing something that flatly isn't normal, and you need to stop being used.
It's a Season 2 playoff race with TGL, presented by SoFi. Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, Jupiter Lynx versus Boston Common Golf. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Los Angeles Golf Club versus New York Golf Club. Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, the Bay Golf Club versus Jupiter Lynx. Keep up, it's golf. Watch on ESPN, ESPN2, and the ESPN app.